This page is the front cover of 64 magazine, issue 30, priced at £3.95, proudly proclaiming itself as the UK's best-selling dedicated N64 mag. Dominating the cover is Worms Armageddon, boasting about being pinker, harder, and now with nukes. There's a feature on Command & Conquer, promising a complete review, where you can crush your enemies and rule the world. ISS Millennium and F1 World Grand Prix 2 also get a mention. You can grab a free Quake 2 book with the complete solution, and WWF Attitude is highlighted with the tagline, "Time to lay the smack down." There's a Star Wars shout-out for Racer and Rogue Squadron cheats on page 58, where you can select your craft. Other games getting a nod on this issue include Shadow Man, Hybrid Heaven, Revolt, and Jet Force Gemini, and it looks like there is an exclusive player's guide for Mystical Ninja 2 as well. Just to note, this mag isn't endorsed, sponsored, or authorized by Nintendo themselves. The next page is an advert for the Sega Dreamcast console. It shows an image of planet Earth with the tagline, "The Playing Field," and promotes their website, dreamcasteurope.com. The Dreamcast logo is prominently displayed at the bottom right. It is also stated that Sega and Dreamcast are trademarks of Sega Enterprises. This page is the contents page for issue 30 of 64 magazine. Right then, let's see what's inside. Under 64 sites, it's kicking off with Worms Armageddon on page 6, always a laugh with those annelids. Rayman 2, The Great Escape is on page 8, that's a solid platformer that one. And then Armorines. Project Swarm on page 10, never really got into that one myself, but each to their own. Rat Attack is page 12, followed by Hybrid Heaven on page 14. Moving on to reviews, we've got Quake 2 on page 24, a proper classic FPS on the 64, and WWF Attitude on page 30, all the wrestling stars there. Formula 1 World Grand Prix 2 is on page 34, Shadow Man on page 38, a bit dark that one, Command & Conquer on page 42, always good to have a bit of RTS on console, Revolt on page 46, Shadowgate on 48, classic adventure game updated, Superman on page 50. Let's hope it's better than the previous attempts, eh? Rugrats on page 52, Mike Piazza's Strike Zone on 54. In UK Update on page 56, we've got Flying Dragon. Regulars features include 64 Showcase, When I'm 64, Subscriptions, Nindex, and Next Issue. Gamebusters has Cheat Central, Score Zone, Star Wars, Episode 1 Racer, and Mystical Ninja 2, starring Goemon. So a good mix of previews, reviews, and regular features, as you'd expect. Worms Armageddon is coming to the N64 this November, UK release. This installment of the simple but brilliant Worms series promises chaotic fun with over 60 weapons, including guns, rockets, and comedic items like banana bombs and exploding sheep. New weapons like flamethrowers and gas bombs are also included. The game features complex levels that become easier to navigate as the battle progresses. Players can name their worms, as exemplified by characters like John McClane. The preview suggests classic Worms gameplay, perfect for gathering friends and engaging in worm-based warfare. The article highlights the joy of calculating trajectories and generally having a blast with the weapon arsenal. Rayman 2, The Great Escape for N64 is a highly anticipated 3D adventure game from Ubisoft. Developed for over 2 years across 4 studios, the game puts Rayman against intergalactic pirates who have invaded his planet. He must escape and save his friends with the help of Polycus. Gameplay is described as fast-paced and action-packed, unlike Ubisoft's previous title, Tonic Trouble. The game features cutscenes to advance the story, which incorporates humor, including hilarious Russian dancing sequences. Rayman will learn to fly, use explosive barrels, and water ski. A swinging time section allows players to navigate using rings. The article praises Rayman's versatility and the game's varied gameplay and colorful graphics. Screenshots show Rayman on a flying machine and using his magic fist. With a UK release planned for October 99, the game is shaping up to be a potential hit. Armorines, Project Swarm, developed by Probe, now part of Acclaim, is previewed. Utilizing an evolution of the Turok 2 engine, the game features insectoid aliens invading Earth, fought off with experimental power armor. Expect swarming, venom-spitting bugs, energy wave attacks, and a rocket launcher. The game promises cooperative and deathmatch modes, as well as levels with gunship gameplay. It's set for a November release. An advertisement promotes the Equalizer cheat code cartridge for the Nintendo 64. The device, similar to an action replay, offers hundreds of preloaded cheat codes. the ability to add custom codes, and a code generator. It provides standard cheats like infinite lives and ammo. Priced at £19.99, it also boasts a RAM viewer and compatibility with Action Replay. Datel is the manufacturer, and new codes are available through a paid code line. Action. This page previews the upcoming Nintendo 64 game, Rat Attack, an arcade-style title where players control superpowered cats trapping rats. Developed by Pure and published by Mindscape, the game is planned for a UK release in September, though unconfirmed, and features single-player and multiplayer modes. Screenshots reveal an isometric view. The page also prominently advertises cheat codes and tips for various platforms, including the N64, PlayStation, PC, and Game Boy. They offer cheats, release dates, reviews, and news for over 1,000 games, listing several N64 titles. The page promotes premium rate services for Game Help, and also advertises a fax cheats and tips service and a competition. Finally, a GoldenEye walkthrough is promoted with a premium rate helpline. Konami's Hybrid Heaven for the N64 is a delayed action-adventure game aiming to be the console's answer to games like Metal Gear Solid, but with RPG influences similar to Parasite Eve. Set in an underground base beneath New York, players must stop an army of genetically modified monsters. Gameplay involves exploring and turn-based combat where players choose attacks like punches, kicks, and blocks. Combat is played out in 3D, with RPG elements like character progression and new move acquisition. A unique judo chop system allows players to predict enemy moves. The plot includes body swapping, aliens, and conspiracies. The game is expansion pack compatible with a UK release planned for October. Screenshots showcase gameplay in a control room and combat scenarios, hinting at Sunny Delight as the ultimate horror within a vast underground complex. This issue features a shift in layout, prioritizing N64 game previews in the showcase section. Headlines include cosmetic updates in Jet Force Gemini, Jet PH Wars, making characters appear more mature. Is Millennium get an update? With Konami developing a new international superstar soccer game, promising improvements over ISS 98. Michael Owen's World League Soccer 2000 is also announced. Tetty 8. Dolphin update discusses Nintendo's next console, codenamed Dolphin, hinting at an aggressive price point and the possibility of DVD playback being excluded. Konami may be ending N64 game development soon. Donkey Kong 64 screenshots are showcased. News Nuggets covers Square potentially developing for Dolphin, raising the possibility of Final Fantasy on a Nintendo console. EA's WCW Mayhem is also mentioned. The issue also features adverts for gaming magazines and a QXL auction advertisement. This issue's jam-packed with N64 news and features. The Game Watch section previews upcoming releases. August brings Duke Nukem, 0 Hour, while September sees a flurry of titles including Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, Carmageddon, Gauntlet Legends and more. A massive list of games awaits release dates, including Daikatana, Harvest Moon, and Ridge Racer 64. The 64 magazine charts show Star Wars, Episode 1 Racer, and F1 World Grand Prix 2 still dominating. Quake 2 and Star Wars, Rogue Squadron are close behind, with Legend of Zelda holding strong. A Mad Catz competition offers a chance to win racing gear. Smaller competitions offer Disney Channel Kids Awards tickets and pot noodle prizes. Screenshots of various games like Carmageddon and Hydro Thunder are also included. This Letters 64 page features reader responses. Ye and indeed ha finds humor in American slang appearing in rare games. Ben Woodhead debates between the PlayStation 2 and a new Nintendo console. Big Fatas criticizes game certificates and cover lines. Anyone for Tennis points out a missed game review. Jordan Gillam is puzzled by a Turok game label inconsistency. Dashed Expectations comments on E3 hype versus reality. Sold Out, or Not, discusses game exchanges and release dates. Back to the Future reflects on a lack of imagination in modern games, suggesting updates of older titles. The issue also offers a £170 N64 prize. Readers can contact the magazine via email or mail. 64 Magazine's reviews section details their comprehensive game evaluations. Those Boxes Explained breaks down each review with information on game details and technical aspects. A rating system assesses graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, all out of 5. PAL performance is also considered for UK imports, and the $64,000 question weighs pros and cons. They also specify memory options and identify the source of the review. The magazine reviews games such as Quake 2, WWF Attitude, and others like F1 World Grand Prix 2, Revolt, Shadowman, Shadowgate, Superman, Command & Conquer, Rugrats, Mike Piazza's Strike Zone, and Flying Dragon. A final score, utilizing a percentage-based system, determines the overall ranking. A 64 bottom-line controls section provides further analysis of the reviews, focusing on specific categories. Roy Kimber 64 Magazine Review awards Quake 2 on 64 a Sizzler badge. It's a fast-paced shooter where players, as a Space Marine, battle the Strogg. The game features well-designed levels, similar to the PC version, offering clear mission objectives and a sense of accomplishment. Levels like Research Lab and Detention Center are praised for their atmosphere. Published by Activision and developed by Raster Productions, the game costs £39.99. Positives include impressive graphics with the expansion pack, smooth gameplay, gore, and 4-player deathmatch. Negatives include a repetitive single-player experience and potentially easy levels. The review highlights the satisfying gore, action in specific level areas, and offers tips about secrets and platforming. The next page of this 64 magazine review continues its look at Quake 2 on the N64, still awarding it that Sizzler badge from Roy Kimber. They're really pushing the boat out, saying how much better it looks with the expansion pack, proper side-by-side screenshots showing the difference, calling it expand your mind stuff. Apparently, even without it, it's still not bad looking at all. They reckon the single player is a fast and smooth experience, especially again with the expansion pack, in a section they've called Cooler Quaker. Sound effects are mostly good, lots of enemy grunts and groans, although they think some of the weapon sounds are a bit weak compared to the PC. The multiplayer section, We're Wider Quake, is where it gets interesting. They're raving about the 4-player deathmatch, frag teams, flag wars, and death tag modes across 10 different arenas. They say it's top-notch, and even reckon if you know the PC deathmatch levels inside out, you're in for a shock, because these N64 ones are unique. Strong words actually, they even dare to say it rivals GoldenEye. There's a bit on the super tank boss you meet on level 10, saying he's tough and packs a punch but he's slow so keep moving. And lastly, a quick mention in I've Got a Secret, about the game being packed with secrets, like the original Quake, involving shooting switches to open hidden areas. All in all, still sounding pretty chuffed with this conversion. This review of Quake 2 for the N64 highly praises its sound design, especially the chain gun and level design, which is inspired by Turok 2. While the single player is decent, multiplayer is where the game shines, offering fast-paced strategic gameplay comparable to GoldenEye. The review highlights specific features, like the maniacally laughing prisoner enemies in the detention level, who may reveal secrets if finished off. Second Opinion calls it a great addition for gun fans on the N64. Quake 2 receives top marks for graphics, audio, and gameplay, resulting in a 93% overall score. The review also includes the N64 controller layout and mentions previous reviews of Quake and GoldenEye. An advertisement for the Explorer 64 cheat cartridge promises increased power, ammo, and access to hidden game secrets. WWF Attitude for Nintendo 64 is a major upgrade, boasting over 40 wrestlers with unique moves, entrances, and music. New match types like tag team, weapons, and cage matches expand the gameplay, offering 15 modes. The career mode is more in-depth, and the presentation, including wrestler entrances and commentary by Jerry Lawler and Shane McMahon, is praised. The game features a large roster at launch, with unlockable characters, and an enhanced creator-wrestler mode. The review highlights specific entrances like gangrels. Controller packs are needed for saving. Customization extends to attire and appearance. Strengths include character variety, comprehensive creation options, and solid audio visuals, though repetition is noted. Developed by Acclaim Sports and published by Acclaim, the game was released on August 27 for £39.99. Screenshots showcase gameplay and menu screens. Stable matches, with 16 wrestlers promise chaotic brawls. WWF Attitude on the N64 receives an 87% rating, praised for its advancements over previous wrestling games. The Creator Wrestler mode, allowing extensive customization, is a highlight, enabling players to save creations. While the single-player mode offers depth, the multiplayer, especially Royal Rumble and stable matches, provides the most enjoyment. The review notes the game's learning curve, differentiating it from more accessible titles. A do-it-yourself section lets players customize pay-per-view events. A second opinion reinforces the positive assessment, highlighting the game's step forward for wrestling fans. Strong scores are awarded across the board, with graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge receiving 4/5, and rating getting a perfect 5/5. The sound has also improved. The review also features a control layout guide and lists alternative wrestling titles. A Live Games helpline advert offers assistance for various N64 games, albeit at a premium cost. F1 World Grand Prix 2 for the N64 receives a positive review, building upon the strengths of the original. It boasts improved graphics, particularly with the expansion pack, and enhanced handling with more control options. New features include track shadowing, realistic pit crews, and a more challenging AI. Key improvements highlighted are the addition of a track map, clearer damage indicators, and larger, more readable gauges. The game, developed by Paradigm and published by Nintendo, is available now for £39.99. It supports 14 players, the expansion pack, and the Rumble pack. The game saves records, but controller pack use is not applicable. The review concludes that this is a solid update, offering a challenging and engaging Formula One experience for fans of the first game and newcomers alike. F1 World Grand Prix 2 for N64 earns a 90% rating, lauded for its detailed car damage, enhanced graphics, including improved trackside environments and visual effects, and challenging yet rewarding gameplay. The game features a 2-player mode and improved frame rates. Controls are standard for the N64. While considered an upgrade over the original, some question why these improvements weren't included earlier. The page also includes a retailer advertisement for N64 consoles and games at competitive prices with free delivery and guarantees, including Mario 64, Zelda 64, Turok 2, and GoldenEye. Second-hand games and hint books for various titles are also available, with a brief, less relevant mention of Atari Jaguar games. Shadow Man on the N64 is a sprawling 3D adventure where the titular hero traverses between the living world and the grim afterlife, Deadside. The game boasts a huge storyline, non-linear gameplay, and atmospheric presentation, with a focus on action-adventure elements similar to Tomb Raider. Players will explore environments, solve puzzles, and fight enemies. The review highlights both strengths and weaknesses. Positives include the expansive story, cutscenes, and lack of fogging. However, the game suffers from Tomb Raider-esque jumping, a slow start, and camera issues. Shadow Man features a unique premise, with a teddy bear used for navigation, and a focus on gruesome combat. The review mentions a launch event, and details on game features like expansion pack compatibility. The game is aimed at mature audiences, with a high degree of gore. Overall, it's a large, ambitious game with some flaws, but ultimately, quite impressive for its time. This review praises Shadow Man, highlighting its non-linear gameplay, similar to but better than Turok 2. The game features challenging mechanics requiring specific items and careful navigation. Cutscenes and language might be intense for some. Despite initial dullness, the game becomes progressively challenging as the protagonist gains power alongside the enemies. The review covers the game's mechanics like collecting Dark Souls for power, and the objective to defeat the 5 in gruesome environments. The review, rating Shadow Man highly across graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, praises its difficulty, particularly for experienced gamers. A final score of 92% reflects the game's complexity and immersive experience, solidifying its place as a top-tier adventure on the N64. Command & Conquer on the Nintendo 64 is a real-time strategy game where players choose between the GDI and the Brotherhood of Nod, battling for control of Tiberium. Featuring an isometric 3D view, the game requires players to manage forces, build bases, and engage in combat. The N64 version includes all original PC missions, plus new special ops missions like a Rambo-style level and a large-scale assault, offering extra content. The game's pros include addictive gameplay, numerous missions, good controls, high-resolution mode, and speech. However, it is single-player only, and can be frustrating. While soldiers are small, and gore is limited, the experience is enhanced by the satisfying feeling of leading troops to victory. Developed by Westwood Studios, it's a solid strategy offering for the N64. This page continues the Command & Conquer review, highlighting that Tiberium is key to success, as each mission gives you a budget to build your forces. It mentions building structures unlocks new weapons and units, and that harvesters are vulnerable. The review notes the sound is simple but effective, with voice samples and battle noises doing their job. Under the heading Buddha Buddha ARF, it's noted that players bought this game for the gameplay, not amazing visuals. The control is discussed, stating it was initially fiddly with the joystick, but Westwood has done a good job with analog control. It's mentioned that a main fault is the lack of multiplayer, though a second opinion box hints that split-screen multiplayer is indeed playable, whilst acknowledging the graphics look a bit dated. The page features a bottom-line controls section detailing the N64 controller layout for the game, and a rating section giving it top marks across graphics, audio, gameplay and challenge, with an overall score of 90%. Alternatives like SimCity 2000 and Blast Core are also mentioned. The soundbite states, "It's currently the only game of its type on the N64 and will be hard to beat." Revolt for the N64 is a well-received RC car racing game. The review praises its realistic simulation, capturing the feel of RC cars, even with occasional frame rate dips. The game features a stunt track mode with impressive courses and a user-friendly track editor. Tracks are diverse, ranging from toy shops to ghost towns, with many unlockable cars. The game is described as addictive, with a micro-machines-like multiplayer experience and a soundtrack. The controls are standard, and alternatives like micro-machines are suggested. Revolt earns high marks for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, achieving an overall score of 90%. It supports multiplayer and expansion/rumble packs, and was developed and published by Acclaim from the UK, released in September, costing £39.99. Key features include superb handling, a large car selection, a sharp learning curve, and hypersensitive controls. Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers is reviewed as a slow-paced, methodical graphic adventure for the N64. Developed by Kemco and published by the game utilizes controller-based interaction, a departure from the text commands of its predecessors. Gameplay involves interacting with objects via the A button for descriptive text. The review highlights the game's deliberate pace, comparing it to older adventure titles. Graphics and audio score poorly, with gameplay and challenge receiving slightly better ratings. Alternatives include Castlevania and Holy Magic Century. The overall score is 45%, with a critical soundbite. The first N64 graphic adventure, and hopefully the last. The review suggests the game, priced at £39.99, didn't successfully translate the retro adventure formula to the N64. The Nintendo 64 game Superman is slammed as an abysmal experience. The review calls it inept, frustrating, and monumentally bad, likening it to a torture device. The premise involves Lex Luthor in a virtual metropolis, featuring tedious tasks like flying through rings and saving objects. Multiplayer, dubbed Multiplayer Morons, offers poor deathmatch and race modes. Abysmal controls are a major problem. The review heavily criticizes the graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, awarding dismal ratings and a final score of 14%. A second opinion reinforces the negative assessment. The game's flaws include a useless control system, poor graphics, feeble sound, a terrible camera, dull gameplay, and a complete lack of fun, making it arguably the worst Mach 64 game since Clay Fighter. This page features a review of Rugrats Scavenger Hunt. It's described as a computerized board game aimed at younger players, a bit like Mario Party but simpler, where you move around boards, triggering events, and collecting cookies. The reviewer notes the cutscenes feature the proper cartoon characters, but the animation is a little basic. The controls are straightforward, with map and camera controls on the shoulder buttons. The game receives a middling overall score of 44%, with average ratings across the board for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge. The soundbite section suggests it's really only for die-hard Rugrats fans. Alternatives mentioned are Mario Party and Tamagotchi World. There's also a section called Memory Options, detailing save game progress. Alongside the review, there's a big advert for 64 Solutions magazine itself, bragging about 132 pages of tips and cheats, featuring games like Star Wars Racer, Mario Party, and Beetle Adventure Racing. They're really pushing the complete as of N64 cheats, and promoting issue number 12. The next page features a review of Mike Piazza's Strike Zone for the N64, and it's not getting a glowing recommendation, I can tell you that much. They've slapped an overall score of just 40% on it. Apparently it's being described as a bit of a letdown, especially compared to other baseball games on the system. They reckon the controls are too simplistic, Graphics are bland, and the sound is poor, with tedious commentary and music. They've got a 64,000 questions section highlighting the negatives, like calling it more boring than a woodworm convention, and saying it has nasty music. The piatard off bit is a bit of wordplay comparing it to pizza, saying it's entirely inedible. Ouch. They suggest All-Star Baseball 2000 and Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest as much better alternatives. On the right-hand side, there's an advert about software piracy from Elspa, warning about the dangers and penalties. It's got a list of recent convictions as examples, people getting fines, and even prison sentences for dealing in dodgy software. The message is clear: don't play games with criminals, and it will end in tears. They've got a phone number and website for reporting software piracy. Pretty serious stuff. Flying Dragon, a beat-em-up for the N64, is reviewed as a decent game with a score of 78%. The review praises its fast, responsive, and accessible gameplay, comparing it to Fighters 2 Sissy for Virtua Fighter. The game, a translation of a Japanese version, features RPG elements where players customize super-deformed characters and gain experience points. While some customization aspects are deemed unnecessary, the PAL version maintains the speed of the import, and the menus are in English. Graphics are noted to have chunky borders. Alongside the game review, the page features advertisements for various items. These include a color Game Boy, N64 consoles, and a wide selection of N64 games, both new and second-hand, such as Banjo-Kazooie and Beetle Adventure Racing. Additionally, there are Mario and Yoshi watches, action figures from popular franchises, and various N64 accessories. The page concludes with an advertisement for a South Park Vocalizers sound effects toy. This page highlights cheat codes for several N64 games. Quake 2 offers classic cheats like level access and color changes. Star Wars Rogue Squadron allows you to play as a Naboo starfighter. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer features track modifications, unlimited ammo, and a debug menu with an open all cheats option. Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goman has a hint about small cars and big games. A pad at a glance section provides controller layout help. Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA includes a tag mode for multiplayer. Mischief Makers unlocks extra stages through gem collection. Finally, Madden NFL 99 boasts codes for bonus teams, hidden stadiums, and comedic options like Tomato Quarterback. The Score Zone highlights reader achievements in N64 games. This issue features top scores and times for various games, including F1 World Grand Prix, Top Gear Rally, Beetle Adventure Racing, Star Fox 64, Shadows of the Empire, Vigilante 8, Mario Party, Tetrisphere, Wave Race 64, GoldenEye 007, Snowboard Kids, Agent Bond, The World Is Not Enough, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Scores are listed for various tracks, levels, and game modes within these titles. Bethany Stoneley from Crew is the featured Ultimate Player. Readers are encouraged to submit their scores with proof to be featured in future issues. PR. Score Zone celebrates N64 players' accomplishments. Featured games include Banjo-Kazooie, with Ingvar Gunnarsson excelling. F-Zero X sees Richard Dunn and John Brennan dominating. Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing also highlight top times. Micro Machines 64 Turbo showcases Chris Cox's skills, while WWF Warzone features John Burrows. 1080 Snowboarding highlights Chris Webb and Danny Dunn. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time notes Harry Shackleton's Massive Fish. Wetrix has Mans Ericsson at the top. Cruisin' USA shows a Grand Canyon time, and Quake 64 highlights John Brennan and Carl Watt. A Quake 2% challenge offers prizes for completing time trials. This page is an advert for Computer Exchange, or SEX as they're known. They're making a point of saying they actually know what they're talking about when it comes to games, which is always a bonus. Seems they buy and sell games, DVDs, PC bits and bobs, and software. There's a big push on for mail order, and they're shouting about a Dreamcast special offer, knocking them out at £149.99. You can even pre-order one of these imported Dreamcasts, which is interesting. Flicking through the second-hand games they've got listed, there's a fair bit for the N64. You can see titles like GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and even Zelda Ocarina of Time on there. They've also got Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, and Turok 2 listed, alongside classics like Doom 64 and Duke Nukem 64. It's a decent selection if you're after some older games. Right at the bottom they've got a list of their shops if you fancy popping in, all over London and a bit further out. They're open 7 days a week, so you can get your game fix whenever you need it. This page concludes the Star Wars Episode 1 Racer Playing Guide, focusing on the Galactic Pod Racing Circuit and the Executioner track on Uvo IV, a prison asteroid. It suggests remembering to take the vital shortcut to get through this one easily. The guide breaks down the track into 6 sections, with screenshots and tips for each part, like using air brakes to slow down for tight turns and boosting along straight sections. It highlights key areas like anti-gravity tunnels and narrow paths along pipes. There's a cheats section revealing codes for turbo start, invincibility using RR Jabba, playing as Jin Riso with RRJ Inray, mirror mode using RRT Beast, and playing as C Younger with RRCY Younger. These are all entered at the name entry screen. Finally, it mentions the Toy Dampener Pod Racer, labeling it a race favorite despite its ridiculously stupid name, saying it's easy to handle, slightly dodgy on turns but has a good acceleration rate. This page continues the playing guide for Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, this time looking at 2 more tracks. First up is Sebulba's Legacy on Malastare, described as a fast gas moon track with tricky hairpins. The guide breaks it down into 6 sections with screenshots and tips for each, mentioning braking and sliding for hairpins, using lights as exit indicators in tunnels, and dealing with split paths and tunnels. It also highlights Jin Riso as a secret racer, brother of Mars Guo, with the biggest pod and great speed and traction. Then we have Grabvine Gateway on Barunda, a swamp track billed as possibly the toughest in the game, emphasizing brake and slide techniques. Again, it's broken into 6 screenshot sections with tips covering bridges, mountain paths, sandy hairpins, sand trenches with tight corners, jungle repair sections, and swamp hairpins. Finally, Anakin Skywalker is profiled as a good beginner racer, a race favorite, being medium-sized with balanced stats. Andobi Mountain Run on a Gondo Prime is a challenging glacier track with tunnels, bridges, and an ice canyon. Use boost at the start, and be prepared for uphill and downhill sections with tight turns. A pod with good turning is crucial for the ice crevice shortcut. Remember the tent shortcut near the finish. Borington next, the guide profiles Mahonic, a fast racer with excellent handling despite his bulky pod. Dethrow's Revenge on Audibana is a floating city track with several shortcuts. Boost at the start, navigate bridges and pipe sections carefully, and cut corners. Use ramps in metal frame tunnels strategically. Finally, Oddymandrel is recommended as a good starter racer, like Anakin, with balanced stats and good acceleration. This guide offers gameplay tips for Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on the N64, focusing on 2 tracks, Fire Mountain Rally and Boonta Eve Classic. Fire Mountain Rally, a swamp course, features advice on navigating lava pits, hairpin turns, dense forests, and a sandy canyon. Boonta Eve Classic on Tatooine pits players against Sebulba, and the guide covers boosting at the start, navigating canyons with tight turns, and dodging fire jets. Key sections are detailed for both tracks. Ciao. The guide also spotlights 2 secret racers, EB Endocott, a beginner-friendly craft, and Sai Younger, a powerful racer with strong stats. Track maps for both courses are provided to help players familiarize themselves with the layouts. This guide for Star Wars Episode 1 Racer focuses on the Invitational Racing Circuit, covering Endopola Bore Atindo Prime Centrum and Abyss tracks. Andor Prime Centrum, a glacier track, emphasizes staying on the road at the start, navigating the cavern by hugging the left, staying low in the stadium, and sticking to the right wall in the city section. Abyss, a floating city track, stresses careful driving, boosting on the opening straight, and navigating tunnels by staying straight and avoiding ice. It advises taking a specific route through arches and utilizing an ice crevice shortcut for the finish. The guide also profiles racers Slide Parameter, known for sensitivity and handling, and Bozzy Baranta, who excels on invitational courses with good turning. This page continues the guide for Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, this time focusing on 2 more tracks in the invitational circuit. First up is the Gauntlet, located on the prison colony planet of Uvo IV. This track is described as long and demanding, set across all flats. The guide highlights key points on the track map and provides tips on how to navigate it efficiently using boost and cutting corners, and being wary of meteors and narrow tunnels. Next we have Inferno on Barunda, a swamp track, which is billed as a course for pure champions only, needing first place on every other track to unlock it. The tips for Inferno focus on using speed boosts around U-turns, navigating arches, bridges and lava pits, and taking shortcuts in the cavern sections to get ahead. The page also spotlights 2 racers. Gasgano, a resident octopus, is described as a showman with mediocre handling and terrible turning, but compensated by average acceleration. Ben Quadinaros, a secret racer with a helium balloon-like head, is noted as a favorite for tough tracks, using a 4-engined pod. Despite being a bit sluggish and having motors that overheat quickly, he's highlighted for his braking and sliding capabilities, along with a quick shortcut on Inferno. This guide offers early game tips for Mystical Ninja 2, starring Goemon, on the N64. The first section, Spend, 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 advises on shop purchases, highlighting the health benefits of rice balls and armor upgrades. Lawson Road, the first level, includes sections like pole to pole, horseplay, and using boulders. Level 2, Lawson Town, features tips on obtaining the chain pipe, finding gold, getting an entry pass, helping DJ Mania, and meeting Sasuke. Finally, Level 3, Ring Bell Pass, includes advice on using transporters, avoiding falling from platforms, path choices, and utilizing the low road for easier progress, collectibles, and entry passes. The guide emphasizes the game's secrets and comedic elements. This guide details Level 4, Digidig Gold Mine, Level 6, Edo Castle, and World 2, Ryugu Island, in Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goemon. Level 4, Wheels are Turning, highlights boss fights and navigating tricky routes for items. Level 6 at Edo Castle covers specific strategies, like finding extra lives, using lifts, and obtaining golden armor. Level 5's Edo Checkpoint requires entry passes. Boss guides include Shishi Scarecrow, Bomb Deflections, and Bismaru Elegant, Robot Fight Special Attacks. World 2's Kappa Road features underwater tunnels, mermaid transformations, and avoiding snakes and skeletons. This guide for Mystical Ninja 2 covers several levels. In Frog Mountain, Level 2, navigate the water chutes, choosing the left route, piece of cake, over the right, ooh, nasty. Ryugu Castle, Level 6, features rising blocks and rotating platforms. Find a secret stash and use Yei's mermaid form underwater. The Taisamba 3 boss fight is easier, utilizing floating platforms and knife attacks. Naruto Road, Level 4, involves underwater sections, needing Yei and entry passes guarded by octopuses. Ryugu Checkpoint, Level 5, requires 10 entry passes. Taisamba 4's Robot Fight demands quick attacks and dodging, use sphere shots, and baton toss. In Otterheim Town, Level 3, meet Yei for mermaid abilities, get the solid megaphone, and race Obisumaru in Evil Twins. World 3 of Mystical Ninja 2, Mafu Island, features 6 levels. Kokeshi Road, the first, is filled with dangerous China dolls. Manieta Road offers multiple paths, including cave sections like Cave 1, 2, and 3. Tomb Pass, the 4th level, includes the slice and dice section with guillotine blades and tunnels with hazards. Level 5, Spook Village, seems quest-focused with tasks like Leave Your Hat On and Chasing Bismaru. Pochan Lake is a water level with swimming and enemies. Finally, Mafu Checkpoint, Level 6, requires 15 entry passes to access Meijing Castle, potentially requiring revisiting Spook Village. This guide assumes prior completion of Frog Mountain, Ryugu Castle, and Naruto Road. This page is a playing guide for Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goemon, continuing from the previous levels. For Meijing Castle, it covers the Hooded Claw level, advising players to watch out for quicksand pits and huge claws, suggesting platform use. Inside the Blender level, warns about falling blocks and bats, and Pressure Cooker is about navigating rising water levels and platforms. The guide then moves on to boss fights, starting with Gorotsuki, the Gatekeeper of Hell, advising to hit him after he swings his club, and dodge his fan attack. Finally, it covers the Gods of Wind and Thunder robot fights, recommending using repeated punch attacks and the baton toss, especially the Lightning Shield and Tornado Strike, while being mindful of energy and projectiles. The page also features an advert for Nintendo 64 cheats and tips, promoting a phone line for essential gaming advice. There's an advert to advertise in 64 magazine, and another for video games at trade prices from the Game Zone. Gadget Zone is advertising Game Boy Color accessories like cases, exchanger kits, data cables, and power supply units. Visions is advertising video games at special offers, including N64 titles like Carmageddon, Castlevania, Command & Conquer, Duke Nukem, Zero Hour, F1 World Grand Prix 2, Legend of Zelda, Mario Party, O.D.T, and Quake 2, alongside accessories and Dreamcast games. They're pushing Pokémon Red and Blue on Game Boy for just £29.99 too. The next page is an advertisement bonanza, all about Nintendo 64 special offers. They're pushing a range of secret strategies solutions guides for various N64 games. There's a gold edition which sounds like a big compilation with a free memory card. Then they've got guides for Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda 64, Lilat Wars, and GoldenEye. Maximum Solutions for Turok 2 is featured too, alongside a complete As of 64 Games guide. Looks like they are flogging back issues of 64 magazine as classics too, issues 7, 8 and 13. You can order by phone, email, internet, fax, or even by post using a form at the bottom of the page, and payment is by check, postal order or credit card. They've got a phone number plastered all over the place, 01202200200. Seems like they are really trying to shift these guides. This page is pushing a subscription offer for 64 magazine. It's called the Mega Deal, and for 12 issues you get to pick one of 8 top N64 games: Zelda 64, Turok 2, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, 1080 Snowboarding, IS-98, Diddy Kong Racing, or F1 World Grand Prix. On top of that, you also get a secret strategies and solutions book, choosing from Zelda 64, As of Nintendo 64 Volume 2, or Banjo-Kazooie. They are also offering a standard 12-issue subscription with a free memory card. Down the side, they're tempting readers with back issues. Issues 2 through to 29 are listed here, so plenty to choose from if you've missed some classics. There's an order form to fill in, and details on how to pay by check, postal order, or credit card. The Nindex is a comprehensive guide to the N64 games reviewed. It includes a key explaining symbols and headings for game listings, such as player count, accessory usage, and score, with 64 Sizzler and Gold Medal Award distinctions. Games are categorized by genre. The site highlights the top of the flops, including Aero Fighters Assault, FIFA 64, Wile Country Club, Superman, and the worst rated, Clay Fighter, 63 1/3. The Our Top 10 features the best games: Zelda, GoldenEye, IS-98, F1 WGP, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64, Rogue Squadron, F-Zero X, Vigilante 8, and Beetle Racing. The N64 game listings feature top titles in several genres. Top shoot-em-ups include GoldenEye 95%, Star Wars, Rogue Squadron 92%, and Vigilante 8 90%. Adventure games are led by Zelda, Ocarina of Time 96%, followed by Silicon Valley 87%, Castlevania and Duke Nukem 0 Hour, both 90%. Fighting games see Smash Bros. At the top, 87%, and WWF Warzone and Mortal Kombat 4 tied at 86%. Banjo-Kazooie, 95%, leads the platform games category, followed by Super Mario 64, 92%. The Test of Time revisits Quake, Mystical Ninja, and Rampage, with the latter receiving a scathing review. Quake's score dropped to 74%, Mystical Ninja to 80%, and Rampage plummeted to 38%. Best of the Bits highlights N64 accessories, including the official Nintendo controller, Grand Prix racing wheel, a 4 meg memory card, and the Ultra Racer 64 steering wheel. This page provides Nindex ratings for top N64 games across genres. Top racing games include F1 World Grand Prix, 94%, Beetle Adventure Racing and Micro Machines 64 Turbo 92%, and F-Zero X and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer 90%. Party/puzzle games are led by Bust-A-Move 2 91% and 3DX 90%. Is 98 reigns in sports games 95%, closely followed by ISS 64 and FIFA 99. Finally, strategy/simulation games feature Premier Manager 64 and Blast Corps 80%. 64 Mag's Most Wanted previews upcoming games, notably Perfect Dark and Jet Force Gemini. The page also promotes the expansion pack for enhanced graphics and AI in games like Star Wars, Episode 1 Racer and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. A Coming Soon section lists numerous anticipated titles, including Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, and LEGO Racers. This page, resembling a magazine cover and contents section, promotes Say Cheese, with features on Pokemon Snap, Carmageddon, and Hybrid Heaven. It includes contact details and a Join the Club advert, offering subscriptions with magazines, cheats, and gifts. Price lists for Nintendo 64 games and accessories, memory cards, controllers, rumble packs are featured, showcasing popular titles like Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye, and Super Mario 64. Also listed are Game Boy Color and PlayStation games. Chario. Advertisements include Body Harvest for £9.99, Formula 1 Fantasy 99 with cash prizes, Special Reserve Big Club discount shops, and a list of free gifts with club membership. A Reserve Your Copy Today section encourages magazine subscriptions.